okay. You know, he struggled in the first inning, but as we've seen Chris a lot, it's kind of what separates him. Some situations, you know, he made some pitches, get out of it, keep us engaged in the game. His command wasn't very good early, but he kind of found it about the third inning. But it's a good hitting team, a lot of left-handers. He's got some weapons to defend himself against it, and finally came around for him a little later, but he was fortunate to get out of that inning. But, you know, it's another those outings where guys are throwing 100 pitches in 5 innings. It's just, it's a challenge.
He got out of it. What do those long innings do just to the flow of a game, a pitcher's flow, a team's flow when he has those early?
What it does is it makes you pitch 4 innings out of the bullpen, you know, a lot, which we've been doing a lot. And you have to do it at home. And you hope you're doing it on the road, pitching the 9th inning, because that's good. But that's one of the biggest challenges, is you're constantly pitching 4 innings out of your bullpen. But it also, I think it's one of the things with Ubaldo. He has to exert so much energy sometimes, and he's not the only one with some of the. That's why it was so nice to see Dylan, you know, keep his pitch count down and be able to pitch into the 7th inning last night.
You said, you know, obviously you've seen Chris, you know Chris well. When you see him pitch the way he did today, do you still think, you know, this guy's still kind of like in mid-late April because he missed all spring training?
I think about that. I do. I give him a little, but his arm, I tell you, I thought his stuff was good as far as crispness and stuff you saw. But, you know, he got in some counts where he had nothing there but the fastball and you know, kind of center cut him in the first inning, but then you see the other side of it the rest of the way. You know, I have a lot of confidence that he'll find it. And you're right. You know, sometimes it's keep in mind where he is in the kind of process of pitching. So I try to keep that in mind. But there is a flow. You know, I talked about yesterday. There's a defense is a rhythm. There's a certain rhythm you have when guys are throwing strikes and working quick. That seemed to be a lot crisper defense behind it.
Three of the 4 defeats. Not a lot of hits with guys on, you know, guys on.
3 of the what?
3 of the last 4 games. 3 of the didn't have a lot of hits with guys on base. Are you concerned at all about what you're seeing?
Well, yeah, we knew coming in that these last 2 pitchers are going to be a real challenge. They're really good. That's why they're playing as well as anybody in the American League. You know, we're getting ready to play one that's playing probably the best. So, you know, we knew the schedule was going to be tough, but it's the big leagues. You got to beat those guys. But offensively, you know, we're a little, you know, not little, but it's kind of been boom or bust. And that's a challenge. You got to pitch real well when you're just, you know, hitting. You know, they kept the solo home run in play the day, and usually if pitchers do that, they're part of baseball in the American League, and if you do that, you usually give yourself a chance to win. They've been pitching real well out of their bullpen. And we got to see that, unfortunately.
Using Asher for 2 and 24 pitches, does that change any equation for Sunday? Is he still in the mix for Sunday, Asher?
I haven't committed anything right now. It's been it. Okay. But Ash threw 2 innings today, pitched well again, and really thought Darren was real sharp. You know, he was talking to the dugout afterwards that that's about as good as he's felt on his extension. You could see it really crisp, and Brock got out there. They both had 3 days off. Ash had 2. But, you know, Alec was certainly presented himself well. And he's been good. He's been good. I really like his, you know, some things about him intangible, too.
When you look at a day like Davis has today, you know, he's one of the guys who obviously can draw walks, can be patient at the plate. Sometimes some strikes get by him, but then you see the home run on the first pitch. Then you see him pop up one with two men on. Yep. Is it a fine line there with at bat to at bat with the guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, Chris, you know, he throws in, 2 straight breaking balls and ball 3, and then gets a borderline pitch called a strike, and then, you know, 3-2, he throws in a pitch that he hasn't been able to throw for a strike. It starts at him. I mean, I can see how it happens. The guy's throwing 95, 96. He got a big arm. You know, we drafted him in 2009. Rogers. I was looking at that the other day. Does anybody care? Colorado. But, it's, I know it's frustrating for him, and I'm sure for some people that watch us, but there's usually a return if you stay with him. I mean, I thought he was aggressive early in the count in some of his early at-bats, and, it's tough at bat. He wasn't the only one. That guy was good, and so was the starter. And see why they like him so much.
Another subject. What do you know much about Sardinians?
Yes, I know what I just read in the media guide before I came down here. Switch hitter from Venezuela. And had a pretty good year last year. I looked at the error column and stolen bases, but that's to be continued, Rich. So I wouldn't go too deep on the bio.
Gosman and Miley on track for Houston?
I'm giving them all a day. We're taking advantage of this day. So I know Dylan's next start's first game against New York. I've got it on the board. Pretty sure it's in order.
I know you liked what Michael Bourne brought to the team.
Was that confusing?
Well, nothing's been announced. I just want to make sure it's Gosman for Friday.
I've got it down there. I think so. Sounds right.
You liked what Michael Bourne brought to the team last year. Was it just a matter of timing with his contract and the roster up here that led to him?
I think so. Mike's an experienced outfielder that has some things to offer, but sometimes the clock runs out on you.